Yeah. Yeah, I can hear you. Email on some of the stuff that we applied for through. Yeah, you want the, okay. It doesn't have to be right now, just, I just remember that I need to ask you that, so. Okay, here's the 17th, that'd be great. Yeah, you bet. Larry, you guys are all done in the town of Orange, they give you guys a new headset.
Yeah.
Looks to be, the particular vintage.
Well, this is brand new off the bat. I replaced my period.
They work.
Yours looks a little more modern, I'll give you that.
Yeah, it's maybe the quality that has like the over the ears, so it's super comfortable. You can wear for hours and have no issues.
Yeah.
Those look like those like airport or you know, is that where you got it from Amazon? You say yeah, where you on the flight? They said here it's $3 and you said sure.
Yeah. That has happened. They used to give it to you for nothing.
Used to let you pack one bag for free.
Well, listen, they used to drink all you want on the plane and you off for free.
And smoke.
And smoke. That's crazy.
Sir. They might be more well-versed on that stuff than we might be. Just a guess.
It's just, I need it.
Come on, sounds still.
Oh, it's not 70. Come on, over a week.
Waiting for the clock.
Crank or
No, I'm using my cell phone to get the internet now. I'll use up my data so I can follow along.
Just gonna open up everything here so that.
I was in and came early for that reason. Didn't work.
George is on his way.
It's just like click one of those. That was a long time.
It's fast, we're way past that.
4 more minutes.
6:59 on lunch hour.
Oh, we'll go by hers at 6:59. I need this. Yes, shall we start? Okay, everybody. I call the meeting to order. Thank you all for coming. I know that we have a very large agenda, so let's get going. Need a motion to, well, before we do that, is there anything to add to this agenda?
Under 10.11, can we just have a conversation on the league order levels, please?
Allison, did you put on there for the Legion, that tax road? The agenda?
And two for in-camera, one a personnel discussion, and another one long-term planning,
Okay.
resulting from a meeting with the ministries earlier this week.
Okay, we'll add that later. Did you want to add what you are or not?
Well, it's just a concern about the tax road.
On the Legion?
Yeah.
I don't think they pay tax,
I
exactly.
know they don't, but the town is charging them for
That's,
Harbor Inn Parks Cars.
that's,
That's their rent.
yeah, we would need to have something, I think, in writing for that, so that the administration can certainly look into it further
Yeah.
and present it to council, so.
All right.
Something to know for next time, maybe.
Okay,
I'll move to adopt the agenda with the 3 additions then.
yes.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Just carried. No. So now, the minutes. First one is July 29th. Everybody had a chance to look at those?
Before we approve those 2020-250, that's the Ice Wolf thing. If the team is joint owned, the other members should have some say in that, so I think we should, I don't know if it's just table or like in theory, they are responsible for a portion of their deck, and we should not be talking for them, right? It is tri-community owned, so I would like to let them have their 2 cents or pay their portion before we just approve it.
The motion is, the debt is to the ranch, not to the other communities.
No, but well, the debt is owed by, or the tri-community. Like, I mean, if there's 3 partners that owe it, one partner shouldn't be doing, you know, we're going back to Big Brother thing, and it should be, I don't know if the Ice Wolves need to go to the other partners, or if that needs to be brought up that, you know, in theory, they, you know,
Was
Yes,
that not
it's our
part of the
community.
conversation when we
Yeah.
discussed that?
Because I said that they should be addressing Aeron and the van to go a portion of, like you said.
Yeah.
It's a bill that they have to pay, but they're owners of the same company, let's call it.
Right. Yeah.
Sorry, I gotta ask this. When we had the vote, how did you vote on that? And the reason why I asked is.
If I may, Council, this is immaterial because you've got a resolution that's been passed.
I know.
You're adopting.
But under the act, if you voted against it, you can't bring it up again, under the act, so.
Yeah, I don't think that's relevant here, Mr. Mayor. Let's just deal with the minutes here and move on.
So is that saying that we don't bring this up again? Is that what you're saying?
I think it's a
Council passed a resolution, you made a decision on the matter. So like if you want to rescind or revoke a decision, we'd have to check the procedure bylaw if that's the will of council. That's not what I'm hearing at the table. There's a question. And it's been asked and answered, so you need to rule on that.
Okay. So are you,
What?
the motion is, are you in favor of the minutes that are there right now?
I'm in favor, I just think, like I said, I think that the hockey club needs to address that.
Okay, so if you want to bring this up after we make the motion accepting the minutes, because that's what happened.
Yeah.
Having it said like that, then I'm not in favor of the way the minutes read.
Okay.
But, like, it's just that portion, right? Like, that's, the other partner should have had. So I don't know if that's, Dean, step in.
Yes, Dean?
Let's do it this way, then when we get to motions, if you were on the winning side of that motion by procedure bylaw, you can bring that motion back for reconsideration. if you were on the winning side of the vote. And if not, you can't.
You can't. So the question right now is, the motion is to approve the minutes, because those are what happened.
I'll move to approve July 29th minutes.
Okay, is there a second here?
I'll second
Okay, all in favor? Against? Okay, you want it recorded, or it's too late? Sorry, I should have asked first. Okay, the next one is the August 18th. Motion to approve. August 18th minutes.
I'll second that motion.
Okay. All in favor of those? Against? Okay, carried. Is there any business arising from the minutes? No? Okay. First item is, well, there's a couple. Delegations and the public hearings. First one on the agenda is request for rezoning, Scott Robertson and Jane,
Scott Clausen.
should be Scott Clausen, yeah.
Scott Robertson, that stay, but consider it Scott Crossing.
Yeah.
That was a
So it's a typo here. It says Scott Robertson in our
My
minutes here.
apologies.
And Jane Woodhouse McKenzie. Are you here and would you like to speak? Okay, please.
I don't have to say much, but I
Okay.
just want to, looking to change the zoning from my, it's residential right now to commercial for Sue James business, so she can my building.
For the sake of everybody, where is this exactly?
It's 135 Finlayson Street down from behind Jack Tiger down across from the old ambulance base. So it's
Way down the hill there.
Yeah, so it's a commercial building, so.
Yes.
And so for a lot of years, the old Kadar building?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Any questions or discussion?
Yeah.
Sorry?
Jamie Rose McKenzie, I'm the owner of Positive Attitude Training. I'm the business that wants to buy across the building. And the reason I'm wanting to change the zoning is I want to change the building so it's like a storefront where I sell the dog products and do like a dog training facility. I would do everything inside, like I would do like normal dog training, service dog, therapy dog, or that kind of training. So the hours would be like 9 to 9, so there would never be dogs left in the building. And I'm very passionate about getting this business because dog training is a very big thing for me, so I'll do whatever I have to do to get this building, and if not, this building isn't suitable, I'll go into a different one. And I think that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions of her? Okay, it is on our agenda further on, but does anybody want to discuss this now, or do you want to?
We'll discuss later if there's
It's, yeah, it's on further on, so
Right.
let's stick to the agenda and move forward. Council will deal with it in the appropriate section, please.
Okay. So you can either stay or phone somebody and find out how they.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
All right, you just keep coming right here because I gotta leave. Always somebody in conflict, people. Go ahead.
Now, is there perceived conflict for anybody else in here?
Do you see someone?
So it was brought to my attention I might be in conflict. I personally don't think I am,
Why would you be in conflict?
because there was a letter that was leaked before this council meeting. So now it's perceived that I might have a financial gain in this meeting, which I don't see how I would. I don't know if it's gonna increase or decrease values of property. I couldn't tell you what the
If you're
future holds.
unsure, Dallas, I'd say things declare.
Okay, so then if I have to declare would Jordan be in conflict because he's already noted publicly what his opinion is on this matter?
There seems to be, I'm gonna just back up what Mr. Allison saying, fellow counselor. there seemed to have been a very serious breach in the town handling of the said document. It has been breached to the media, and it almost, you could almost have a preconceived vote here in a sense. Is this a vote of council, or is this media driven? So I'm at odds as to the way the situation's unfolded. And by a councillor declaring conflict, which in fact, had it not been leaked to the media, I don't know, Dean, can you weigh in on this? I mean, obviously you've been around many council tables and probably may need some advice from our administrator.
Well, I would say this, is that, first of all, there was no information that was released by the town office in Orange regarding this matter. As you know, as council is aware, we have in your procedural bylaw, we prepare the agenda, we forward the information of which the executive assistant and I are privy to, and then it becomes logged and uploaded and forwarded to all members of council. So I can, from my point of view, there was absolutely no release of any information to the media from the town office in Orange. Having said that, the Act speaks to conflict of interest, and it talks about controlling interest, which means a person who has in a corporation, if he or she beneficially owns directly, indirectly, or has more than 25% voting rights, could be considered in the discussion. Pecuniary interest means an interest that a member of council or local advisory committee, he or his agent, partner, spouse, parent, child has a controlling interest in, that could make a financial profit from or be adversely affected financially by a decision of council. So the Act defines that, and my understanding is that each member of council's got an obligation, and even though we don't have a code of ethics bylaw, we are bound by the ethics that are identified in the Act that we have to follow, and each member of council's got an obligation to declare whether they believe they are in conflict or not. And so that decision lies, I believe, with the individuals in the room right now. So in terms of the actual, the spirit of the issue is that council, in my opinion, is obliged to provide public notice, which they did for an application for a temporary shelter, which was done in accordance to the Act. And then tonight the matter comes before council, and the public has got a right to express their view to council, as they will, some members will tonight, either in person or in writing. And then based on all the information that council hears and understands about the issue and their own convictions, shall vote on the matter before them. So the process has been followed correctly. What has occurred is there has been information that the media reported, and unfortunately that's the situation. So to me, each member of council that is here has got an obligation to determine whether they are in fact in conflict. And then as this matter proceeds, then it will be dealt with, I guess, in accordance to outcomes and how others want to handle this. So that would be my opinion right now.
Thank you.
Very well, I think we'll move on to the delegation at hand here. Mr. Payne, you have 5 minutes to say your piece, and if council would like to ask any questions, we'll allow a little more time after that. The floor is yours.
So again, I don't have a lot more to say. You guys already got my letter and
aware there's quite a bit of opposition, and I can't speak for everyone. It's not the actual location that I'm opposed to. It's anywhere in the downtown core in the retail sector, or on Avenue in particular. The media has portrayed this as not in my backyard, as well as your mayor. You could literally put it in my backyard in the apartment building. I'm opposed to it being on Main Street. We're very limited in the amount of buildings we have there now. I don't feel that we should be using them for temporary shelters. Saying that, I mean, that's all I have here in the letter, everything's in there. I've spoken to a number of people in town that are opposed to this as well, the same reasons. I can't speak for everybody to put their letter in. Other than that, I do have one question, if the person wants to answer it. Who submitted all of these letters to the media? It has to be mayor or council.
Well, I can only speak on behalf of myself. It sure was not myself.
And further to that note, to all of my fellow councillors, whoever did release that is terribly disrespectful to both the delegates and to our organization. I think it discredits all of us a little bit. Shame on you. It's a terrible thing.
And with that question, I see I'm not going to get an answer right now. That puts a lot of distrust in the community of the council. So, I mean, it's hard to trust that this is even going to go the way I want it to, but again, it is what it is. That's my piece of the questions from.
I appreciate you coming forward, Brent, and asking that difficult question, and it's a question I am going to see if I can find that out for you, because it's again, we come to this table tonight to listen to delegation. It's a very sensitive issue. It's a service that's warranted in our community, but the way this unfolded was totally against all ethics of confidentiality in a sense. I mean, you've got businesses that have expressed their views, they bring it to this council, we're to make a decision on it. And again, I'm going to allude back to the fact that, is this a decision of council, or is it media driven? So, thanks for that.
Any questions or comments for Mr. Pagano?
Just as a point of clarification for council, like this absolutely is a decision of council. There's no question about that. And there is a matter before council, and council will have to vote for or against or table the matter. So this is before you tonight.
Any other comments for Brent?
I've got a question for Brent. And again, depending on which way this vote goes, an alternative, would you be in favor or think about the idea of a different area, a different chunk of real estate in a sense, versus the downtown core?
Off the top of my head, no. I feel like they're looking for a building with rooms and a kitchen according to their media releases and so forth. I mean, a house is probably a better option in that sense, right? It would have to be a large house because they want some office space in it. So, I mean, if they needed to be downtown because of the clinic and all these things, I mean, any of the side roads, my business is located on one of these side roads with houses, empty lots that could be built on. Again, we need rezone, I suppose, but in that sense, I don't have a parcel in mind per se, but I mean, that would be the area. The new wellness center that the Labrador Indian Band is building right now, a wing on there probably would be a perfect place. Yeah, I don't know. There's many options, I believe. Again, I just don't want to take that valuable downtown real estate.
Thank you.
Very well.
No questions.
All right, well, thanks for coming in, Grant, and voicing your concerns, and your concerns as well as everyone else's for and against will be considered when this matter comes before a vote. It will happen quite a bit later in the meeting. You're welcome to stay if you like, or you can leave if you choose to. It'll probably be an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours before we get to it, but that's up to you. So we'll move on. I'll just call the mayor back in.
You want to talk here?
I'm for it.
Okay, sorry.
Ron?
I think as well, for
You calling us?
yeah, okay, we've noted the letters, council's received the other letters, they're acknowledged today.
Just to that, can I ask a question?
Give this
How
to
many
me.
questions, how many letters were received total? Did all the letters get to council? Councilors?
So the ones that were uploaded, there was 6 that were submitted on time, I think, or thereabouts, and then there was the one that I received late, past the deadline on Friday, which I had emailed out to you all on Monday, so.
There was another email that just came in just before council started this evening here
Thanks.
from another member of the public.
Okay, I have the number though.
I think it just came directly to everyone.
Okay,
We're on to correspondence, Ron.
Oh, thank you. Okay, the RCMP Enhanced Police Services Report. It's a nice long one as well. Again, everybody get a chance? Any discussion?
Have we set up time to meet with those guys? No? With the new sergeant?
No. I got an email.
Is he in place right now?
he is
Supposed to be here August 15th, I think, or something?
He did come by the town office and introduce himself, but that was it.
The report shows that position vacant still, so
Oh, does it?
when I threw it in,
I was looking
Might
at
be
the
one
wrong
message.
one.
may have been doing so.
If we could keep trying this, I'll make a motion to approve.
Seconder?
How's that?
All in favor? Anybody against? No. She's carried. Committee reports. Committee of the whole, there wasn't one. Okay, the Regional Water Corporation. It's got to be 75 pages of their report here. Everybody had a chance to.
Quick recap.
Actually, last we turned down that council since that time, so there's nothing to do.
Okay, somebody want to make a motion and second again?
I'll second.
Take your choice of the two and the other one second. All in favor?
Yeah.
It is carried. All right, next is the CAO's report. That's also a good long. Any discussion on that? Do you want to add to your report at all, or?
No, I think it's all for council, if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
You're just totally flooding us with paper, but it's nice. You know what's happening anyway.
I guess maybe just a point of clarity, Dean, or maybe even Pat could answer this. There was a bit of an issue with the tax notices when they went out and the discount wasn't noted. Can you just explain that so everyone knows why that happened? There was a bit of an accounting program error or something
Yeah, there
like
was a
that?
glitch in the program when I ran them. It did tell you in the blurb at the bottom that the discount was 5% till the end of September, but it neglected to put the little chart on it to give you the exact amounts, although the program did it correctly. So if I looked into the program, I could tell you the amount, but I just a miss.
Okay, just there was a number of questions on that, so I would ask in the meeting.
Notice people do care because they were phoning. Okay.
Yeah, and in addition to that, our staff did an excellent job in responding to that and getting that information out in a timely manner. I believe by noon that Friday, I was advised of it in the morning that our staff had rectified that and 907 tax notices were reissued. So, just to thank our staff for the work they did on that.
Who goes to them?
Okay.
Mel Haglund, did we get the roof fixed yet so we can drywall inside?
Yes, and no, we've got parts of it done. There's still a piece of it that has to be completed by Thorpe, and I don't have the exact day when they're coming in, but I'm advised that prior to opening of the facility, we'll have all that work done in accordance to what we had asked for, so.
We've subbed out the drywalling then?
Sorry?
We subbed out the drywalling? Did that go to tender already, or we just?
I don't know the answer to that. I just know the roof part at this point. I'm not aware of that.
Big enough for a tender, is it?
Move to approve CIO and administration reports.
Okay, seconder, please.
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor? Okay, just carried. Next item is financial statements. First is the budgetary control report for July. Everybody had a chance. That also, well, that whole financial thing is really long. Yeah. Any discussion? No? No? Somebody want to approve it?
I would make a motion to approve all of them.
Well, if we're going to do that, then,
I'll move all the financial.
well, anybody declaring anything for the checks first?
There's two declarations, but we don't have to because it's part of it.
Bank rec.
I'll
Source the second page.
I'll second that motion.
Okay.
Dallas.
Okay, all in favor? That includes all the bank recs for all the programs and everything. Okay, just, yes, carried. Okay. Bylaws, the administrative bylaw, this is the third reading.
If I may, Mr. Mayor, just, we've kind of bypassed the section on motions, and just to answer the question about the Ice Wolves debt, I'm just referring to your procedural bylaw.
Okay,
And it
sorry
speaks
for
to reconsider, yeah, it's okay, it speaks to reconsideration of a motion. And your bylaw reads that no motion once passed by council shall be subject to reconsider except in accordance with this section. And in effect, it says that after a motion has been passed, any member of the majority vote may give notice in writing to the CO within 24 hours of their desire to bring reconsideration of the motion. So that time frame has passed in terms of the actual resolution. But as a matter of general interest, you know, the Ice Wolves and the debt, if there is a desire of council to speak to them about sharing it, their debt is with us, and that's the motion that we did pass, just for clarification.
There you go, clear as mud. Okay,
We need a motion to pass the motion section? Let's move on.
No, I don't think so.
We're cruising through this. My time estimate was way out.
no kidding. Okay, the next item is a few of the bylaws. Bylaw 630, 620. This is the third reading of the administration bylaw. And I'm trying to find where I'm supposed to read it. It's the third reading of bylaw, sorry.
636/20 administrative bylaw.
Yeah, bylaw of the town of La Ronge in the province of Saskatchewan to provide for the admin of the town and to set forth the duties and powers of the designated officers for the town of La Ronge. This is the third reading. Do we have somebody in favor? Or make a motion?
I'll move.
Okay. Got the vote? Okay, all in favor? Yes, unanimous all. It is carried. Okay. New business. The offer to purchase for Lot 7, Block 38, plan, whatever, 78 PA 20750.
I so move.
Okay,
Ron, before we move any further, are you in conflict that it's the Saskatchewan Housing Corporation?
I don't think I am because it's Sask Housing. My wife doesn't work for Sask Housing, she works for La Ronge Housing. But ultimately, I don't know. They usually do something and tell her later. But if you think I'll be in conflict, I have no problem leaving.
No, it's up to you.
Are you declaring, Mr. Mayor?
Actually, I'm not. I saw this on the thing and I asked my wife and she knew nothing about it, so it's definitely government, not her.
I will second the motion then.
All in favor? Yes, carried. Okay, the next item is discretionary use. Oh, this one I gotta leave. take it over and give me time to leave, please.
Okay, we're on the discretionary use application, so we all know the matter at hand here. So we'll open up the floor for discussion. It's obviously a very sensitive topic, and it's definitely a needed service in our community. Whether that location is the proper location or not, I guess is the matter at hand this evening. So there has been 6 rather strong letters opposing this going forward. There's been numerous phone calls and a few other ones that came in after the deadline as well as a delegate to oppose this. I myself have not heard a whole pile of the other side of the argument, to be quite honest, so not as a formal message to council anyway, so I guess I'll open up the floor for discussion on the matter.
Council is supposed to meet with the hub or whatever people involved, and we haven't. I am ready to move that we table this until we get both sides of the story. We definitely have the, opposition to it, but if we meet with them and find out what their needs are, I'm sure we could come to, an agreement that yes, we need it, and this is the location. Maybe the one that they have is not the location.
That point might be slightly irrelevant, one, because the location, the matter at hand right now is for that specific location.
Okay,
If you want to table it for a
still want
different.
to table it, but it would, in my opinion, we're getting half of the story, because it's, this COVID thing, we were supposed to meet with them a long time ago, right? It's never happened. So it's, I don't like hearing one side of the story and making a decision.
Dean, do you need a seconder to table the motion?
We're just checking on that in your procedure. Well, if you just give us a second, okay?
Everybody's, I pretty much voiced my opinion in the way some of this come to the media prior to the town table here, so can a guy make a motion to turn around and not allow this to happen, or how many motions can we put forth here?
What I'm going to suggest to council is that you have the matter. The matter has been properly executed in terms of public notice, and it's before you tonight. I'm reading your bylaw as it sits. It speaks to motions. It says that a motion shall not be considered until it's been moved and seconded. Any member of council may at any point in the debate request the motion under debate be read by the presiding chair. When a motion is under debate, no other motion except a motion to amend, and then there are motions to amend, and it speaks to that. So I think you need to get the matter on the table and then determine what you want to do with it, whether you want to table, amend, or deny. The administrative recommendation, our obligation in this isn't to engage in the pros or cons of it from a public opinion perspective. Our obligation is to review it in relation to council's zoning bylaw, which we have, and it does meet the requirements of your zoning bylaw, which we've identified in the report before council. So the decision, we're recommending approval based solely on your bylaw. It's council's decision in terms of whether you want to accept that recommendation, change it, or make your own motion.
So,
Larry, do you have anything?
Can we not
Larry, do you
vote
have
on it
anything?
now?
well, by procedure, then technically we should have a motion to approve and a seconder to that motion, and then discussion around it. If someone moves
That's
the
right.
table, then there needs to be a seconder to that.
Well,
and then
that's right.
Once discussion is done, then we put to a vote.
And
And
if
it's either
that-
approved or not, but the motion has to say to approve it, because that's a matter at hand, and we can't make a negative motion. So we need a motion and a seconder to approve it. We can discuss the matter.
And if it doesn't have a
It goes-
seconder, the motion's lost.
So are we disapproving that we don't need a shelter, or are we disapproving where it's
That
going?
location,
Just the location?
It's the location.
that specific location. So first, I guess, can we have a mover and a seconder to the motion at hand, and then we'll decide if it's approved or not, once our discussion is done.
I'll make a motion that we don't accept that building.
You can't make a negative motion.
Pardon?
You can't make a negative motion, you have to move to accept it, and then when you vote negatively, if that's the way you choose to go.
I will make the motion to approve
Okay, I'll
the
vote.
discretionary use application.
So we have a mover, can we have a seconder, please?
I don't wanna make that motion, but everybody votes the other way. Looks like I want it.
Jordan's made it.
Jordan made the
Jordan's
motion.
made the motion.
Would you like to second, and then we can move on to discussion?
What's the motion?
To approve.
Accept it.
Allison, would you read the motion up to council,
Yes.
please?
That having completed the discretionary use process for a temporary shelter service in the C1 General Commercial District, the application for use of the dwelling located at Lot 3 and 4, Block 6 Plan, CS 1750, be approved for the current calendar year upon receipt of all fees due and conditional to continued compliance with section 4.19 of bylaw 57216.
It needs a second so we can discuss it.
Right.
Anyway, it doesn't mean you're in favor of it, just,
I'll second it then.
okay. So now the floor is open for discussion. There's a motion on the
And
floor.
I will ask that the vote be recorded on this motion.
Discussion. I just want to make it clear, in my mind, probably in the minds of a lot of people, the discussion on this matter is the location of the temporary shelter, provide a shelter for people in need. The motion at hand is not as to whether or not we're in favor or not in favor of a shelter. So I want to make it clear that this is kind of what we're asking for, correct? It's just that location. That's right, Rex, you'd have said.
Yeah, that,
Why do you-
all I want to know.
Okay.
That's correct.
Mr. Walshall, any comments?
Can we bring this up at a later date if somebody comes up with a different location?
Absolutely.
Eh?
Absolutely.
Yes, you can.
Okay.
So right now, just for your information, temporary shelter service are a discretionary use in a C1 district, and I'm not sure if they're in any other districts off the top of my head. So if another application were to come in the future, we would likely have to go through this process again, through the discretionary use and public consultation as well.
Sounds good.
So, just for.
So the matter is for council, so your choices are to pass, amend, or table or defeat.
Or thanks. Jordan, do you have comments?
I do. So I do recognize the point of this is the discussion of location. In 2016, we had made a motion to rezone our zoning bylaw and put into discretionary use the potential use of C1 district as a temporary shelter services. When we made those motions on a recorded vote, we made it in good faith that if somebody in the community would look into C1 districts and find something that is suitable for their program, that they would bring that to council, which they've done the proper process of doing so. And what the problem that I have with the discussion on the current location is this is something that the program has in good faith gone out and tried to find their own funding to serve their clients as best they can, and with a minimal amount of money being needed to renovate these buildings. The current building does have a lot of the needs that they will need, including a lot of bed space, a safe place to house the homeless, gives them the opportunity for showers, as we can see in some of these in the maps that we've been given. This is what ultimately is giving the people the biggest bang for their buck according to the Scattered Sites Outreach Program. And I think that this, being as late as it is in the year, and we all know how funding cycles go, that it's typically contingent on the approval of something. I don't know if that is the case or not, but with that in my mind, I would urge that the councillors vote in favor of approving the temporary shelter services. If this was earlier in the year, it would give everyone some time to find a different location if it was necessary to do so. We, being this late in the year, this is a very, very rarely does a council get to see the opportunity to have a life and death situation before us. This is one of those motions. This is a motion where we have the discussion on whether or not people might be staying out in the cold this winter, or whether they will have safe, warm, and dignified places to sleep in. And I would just urge all the councillors that although this is being a heated debate publicly, and we're here tonight to do what is best for our community, I think that it is only fair that we look to the wisdom of Gandhi and say that the true measure of any society can be found in how it treats its most vulnerable members. And I know for myself that I cannot put my head on my pillow and get conscious knowing that we might have people freezing this winter. And when we look at the image problem, as some of the reports have stated, La Ronge used to have an image problem, and that was we didn't have a shelter for people, and people froze out in the cold. Somebody stepped up and provided that much needed service in our community, and we are now faced with the decision to allow them to continue or not. And all I can say is that if we vote this down tonight, then the image of La Ronge is that we are willing to potentially put the homeless population out in the cold this winter. And with that, I will end my comments and forward all time to any other councillors that would like to weigh in on the matter.
Well, it
We're
is.
not voting on the location.
Do you care to comment, Rex?
Huh?
Do you have some comments on the matter?
Well, I thought that's all we're voting on to do.
Yeah.
So let's vote.
Well, I have further discussion.
I just have one small piece to add to, and like, there's absolutely a need for homeless shelter in our community. There's absolutely the need for it. The question at hand, though, is the location that is suggested in front of us right now. And my personal thoughts are, I do think that a shelter should be somewhere in the downtown core, so that these individuals that are less fortunate can access the services that they need. That being said, I very much agree with the statement that Brent made earlier about, yes, in the downtown core, close to downtown, but not directly on Main Street. I think Main Street should be reserved for the businesses and for the shops and for the retail and for restaurants, not for social services. That's my personal thoughts. Like I said, we definitely need one, and I think there's a lot of work that this council could be doing and maybe should be doing to assist in that process. But at this location, I don't think it's the right fit for our community. La Ronge, as Jordan said, we used to have an image problem. I beg to differ. La Ronge has an image problem right now, and it's time to start addressing those issues and looking forward and planning for the future. There's been many comments made about driving downtown and looking at our downtown core. It's boarded up buildings, it's abandoned buildings, it's vandalism and it's garbage, and we need to clean it up. And I think adding more social service type occupancies down there, I don't think is the answer for this problem. And my heart goes out to all the individuals that need access to the shelter, absolutely, but this is just not the place for it. It's not the right location, in my opinion.
Only comment I would have is anybody looked into what the cost would be to build a building where you want it and what you need in it.
And that's what I meant by council could and should be doing something like that. I think it's an avenue that we should go down. Potentially, maybe there's a piece of property that the town owns that fits that solution. Maybe we can get the province and the federal government on side to help fund something, a proper structure, built in a proper location with the proper services for these individuals around. If we have that said piece of land, and if we decided on that, maybe the town could donate that and get the ball rolling on starting that process, or even doing some fundraising for the cause. It's an absolutely necessary cause in our community and in every community. So that's what I meant, we could and should be doing something, and it's, the ball is somewhat in motion on that already, from our meetings with that.
And if we didn't do that, and we decided where the property was or where the building was, then we should have some input from the public.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay, I agree with that.
I just want to speak further, I mean, for Mr. Jordan failed to comment on quoting Mr. Gandhi, pretty quick statement, but anyway, it is, I don't believe it is the will of council to throw anybody out into the cold. It's sure not my intention. It is a very heartfelt issue. Heated debate, well, I don't know how heated it got, it just slips to the media are unfortunate. But again, I don't think it is the will of this council to throw anybody out into the cold. It's a matter of, we have to, as council, look at the petitioners. It was the opportunity for the public to speak. And I've listened to council talk of potentially tabling this to hear from the other half. Well, like Jordan said, winter's coming. There is an opportunity for a alternate spot. But when we have 6 members of our business community step up and express their opinion, it's something I would like the will of council, fellow councillors, to look at. Not a spiel of a quote from Mr. Gandhi in some foreign country. Again, I strongly believe we are elected to make decisions on behalf of this community. And again, I will repeat myself, when 6 members of the business community step forward, we have to acknowledge their thoughts, their ideas. I have no further comment.
Very good, Councilor Watt, those are the people that put us in these chairs, and we do owe it to ourselves and to them to listen to them. And we have previously allowed a shelter in the downtown core, and we probably will again if the location is correct. But previous years when that was allowed, there was absolutely no opposition to it. No one came in opposing, and right now we have a bunch of residents and property owners that are not for this situation. And I think we owe it to ourselves and to them to listen to them. With that, I will call the question, and it is a recorded vote. We're on the table. Councillor Watt first.
Nay.
Councillor Watchell.
Negative.
Councillor Ransom-Phil. Jordan.
We vote in favor.
I negative as well. And the motion is defeated. Roll the bells. Chair is yours, sir.
It's so nice in there, cool and everything. Okay, discretionary use. The home-based business, lot 22, are you ready?
We're ready.
Okay. Any discussion on that? That's at the bottom of the hill there, right? That one?
Yeah, it's close to, on the way down.
Yeah. Any
It's the old
discussion?
Kedar building, right?
Yeah.
Hey?
It's the old Kedar building.
No, this is a different application. It's an application for a carpentry business
Oh.
Oh, right, sorry.
on Reese Drive.
Yes,
Um,
yes, I'm sorry, I got ahead of myself.
By the sounds of the report, that's what it says.
And this is to obviously begin the discretionary use process.
Yeah.
I'll second it.
All in favor? Tis carried. Good show. Next item is natural gas providers. Am I right? Yes. There is, everybody had a chance, anybody had a chance to look at this?
There's no, just a note that there is no recommendation, just
Yeah.
strictly it's a council's decision on which provider as well as the length of term they wish to enter in
Who do
for.
we have this year, or who did we have?
That's in the report, it's Connect.
It's Connect, right?
Connect Energy's currently our provider.
And Connect is the cheapest one for a one-year term, but Hudson Energy is cheapest for, I think it was 2, 4, and 5-year
That's
terms.
what we have.
Have you,
But actually, Peak Energy is the cheapest because they'll always guarantee that they're 10% cheaper than the gas price. So if gas goes up, or if gas goes down and we're locked in on Hudson Energy, we're actually losing money.
And yeah, Peak will float it instead
Yeah,
of locked in.
they're floating. So you're always gonna guarantee to be 10% cheaper.
move,
Peak Energy.
Peak. And I, from personal, my personal, it'd be.
Peak or Twin, Peak Energy, you said?
Peak, it
Peak
flows.
Eagle, yeah,
So as gas went down last year, your rate went down.
right, okay. Did we have, just out of curiosity, Connect, the ones that we're with right now, do we have any problems at all with them? No building problem, no?
No.
No,
Hey,
that was noted in the report.
Somebody want to make a recommendation here?
I'll recommend or move that we, with Peak Energy, do their floating rate.
I would second that.
With Pete?
Peak Energy.
For a one-year term.
For a one-year term, they don't offer anything more than a one-year term.
Yeah, we need it in the resolution.
Okay, there's a motion, is there a seconder?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Dallas, didn't see it. Okay, any further discussion? Sorry, my vote's not working. No? Okay, all in favor? That's done. Okay, that's carried. Okay, next item, building demolition request. Lot 9.
I'll move to give consent for the building to be demolished as requested.
So we're expecting that we lost money on the taxes, right? On that?
No part of the motion reads that all outstanding tax arrears for the property are paid.
And
But
can we
is it
make
Remember
sure
that, Allison, will you read it?
Yeah, the recommendation from administration was that council give consent for the building demolition at lot 9, block 12, plan C9, 1121 as requested, subject to the following conditions. 1, an approved building demolition permit and associated demolition deposit be paid in advance. Number 2, that the water line terminated at the main, or be terminated at the main at the cost of the applicant. And 3, all outstanding tax arrears for the property in the amount of $22,506.09 per paid.
Okay, so before we vote, I honestly would like to know, what is the property worth with the building now? Because if they walk away from it, nothing.
Less than worth it, not that.
Oh,
If
okay.
they clean it up, that's in our favor, like,
Yeah.
for
Oh,
sure.
okay.
It's,
All right,
The real matter here as well is that your building bylaw speaks to, not permitting it in the event that taxes are in arrears. And this has been a long-standing issue on this particular property since 2010, and that's why we in our administratively, why we recommended to tie the issues together and start collecting on the taxes as well that everybody else has paid for this particular property.
I think it should probably also be considered that the property owner is more than likely knocking it down so that they can potentially sell the property, in which case we would be paid out of tax arrears.
yes. Okay,
Is it standard that a water line be terminated at the main on a building demolition? That seems like a funny one to me. As long as it's shut off, it shouldn't much matter.
My information from Public Works is that's what they're suggesting, so that's what we're going with.
I ask in that motion that that line be removed, being I made the motion.
I didn't get who seconded it.
it's in all the demos.
The other 2 points in place, but not that the water line be removed at the main. I think that's ridiculous.
but then it'd be shut off somewhere.
Well, it has to be shut off at the main, but it doesn't have to be exhumed. It's a piece of copper in the ground, it's not removed.
And typically speaking, all the residential / commercial property today, they're not shut off at the main. There are vacant lots available, but they're not shut off at the main. What ends up happening, when that building is terminated, if it's shut off, the curb stop is adequately working, that curb stop will self-drain. So turn around and accept the recommendation, to shut it off at the main. Why, I'm gonna ask the question, why?
Okay,
It makes no sense to me.
When the fields
We
was
can live
demolished,
with that. The bigger issue, council, is that, the taxes aren't paid on a property, but we can live with that. We're not gonna debate that. That's fair enough, that's the will council.
okay, thanks, so you,
Motion to move with that.
Sorry, who's the second on that?
I'll second.
okay. We're all in favor of this then? If so, it's carried. Good enough.
So moving forward, Pat, like, I know you weren't here and you're new, but we asked during the finance committee of how in the arrears some of these properties were. And this one never come up that it was that far in the arrears. Otherwise, we would have acted on it sooner. Like, this is a little bit crazy. So I know you usually have to present to council when you have taxes in the arrears at a certain time of year. Can you put the dates, like how far in the arrears are they? Like, are they a year, are they 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years?
Let me jump in here. We're actually doing that right now, and this has been a matter that's been neglected for many years.
Yes.
I know.
The taxes in arrears, so this isn't just, a recent event. This has been going on for the term of this council. So we are going to be providing, a report to council to deal with the arrears and collection, because it's an outstanding amount. When you see it, you'll be as surprised as we were when we read it. So that will be coming before council.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, that's done. Sorry, people.
Sorry, Pat.
Okay, Donna.
That's okay, I'll just push it away.
Next item is, staff with Mel Haglund Uniplan.
Do you want to present first, or are you just open to questions immediately?
You guys have had a chance to read it. The only thing, I just wanted to point out, there is one change. On page 3, under Larange Minor Hockey and Larange Skating Club, the 4th, 5th, and 6th points down just says maximum 50 on the ice and 30 spectators. And then the next point, it states what the 50 maximum per max, 50 per person max is. And then the next point refers to the 30-person max for spectators. It explains that.
Does that allow 80 in total then?
Correct.
And all of the patrons of the facility have been consulted and part of this planning process for this reopen plan, is that correct?
Yeah, I've been in discussion with every single one of them.
And is there anything in here that they weren't happy with, or is everyone
The only one
on
that
the same page?
minor hockey was concerned about the spectator, but it's more so along the Sask health lines, because they can have up to 30 people on the ice. The other 20 with that 50 is in part with the mini leagues that Saskatchewan Hockey talks about. And then it doesn't necessarily line up if you have 50 kids in a mini league, so there's 2 teams playing and stuff, it doesn't line up with having enough parents. So, but it has nothing to do, refers back to the Saskatchewan opening plan. We can't do anything about it.
What council has in terms of the plan, we actually confirmed that with the Saskatchewan Health Authority today at our EMO meeting, that these numbers are in fact correct, so that's what we'll be enforcing.
Okay, I have a question though. How does this relate to, say, the Ice Wolves game? How many people are they allowed in the
We don't know
stands?
yet. The SJHL is meeting with the Saskatchewan Health Authority, and they have to, Saskatchewan Health Authority has to approve the SJHL information. So this is based on the Saskatchewan reopening plan. When the SJHL gets approval from the Sask Health Authority, this will change in regards to the SJHL information.
So it would fall in line with the other one then, or?
Yeah.
So have you been on like SHA and seeing what their recommendations are and stuff like that? Like I was at Legends this weekend, and like some of the stuff that you have there is kind of what they're doing, but it seems like as far as your dressing rooms and stuff like that, there was no, the kids were all in there kind of doing their thing, right?
Right. This is the 2 meter.
They come dressed,
Yeah.
just have to put their skates on kind of thing, but.
with the breakdown that I have of the facility guidelines for the dressing rooms and the players' benches and the lobby seating and stuff like that, we've gone with a tape measure and measured out exactly how far 6 feet apart is, and this is the maximum of each dressing room and what it can hold.
Yeah, like I know some of them are small for sure.
Yeah.
So gut feeling, is this gonna work?
Well, I think you need
Oh
to,
yeah, we have to.
it's a working document, I think,
Yeah.
as to see how it works and then.
Yeah.
It has to be adjusted with whatever the situation becomes, and we need to follow the provincial guidelines regardless, so.
So showering after games was one that I had. Why are we not permitting that?
Saskatchewan Hockey Authority is actually telling them that's an SHA rule.
Really?
Yeah.
Saskatchewan Health Authority?
So they have the same acronym.
Oh, sorry.
SHA
Yeah.
Hockey and SHA Health. So
So
it's
it's
confusing a bit, but,
Made the
Who are
water
we
then?
following?
pardon me?
Who are we following? This, like the Saskatchewan Health Authority? Like
Correct.
Saskatchewan-
No, we're following the health,
Yeah.
but I've taken into consideration all of the Saskatchewan Hockey Association information as well. Because they've got their information from Hockey Canada, which is pretty vague, but they're referring to all the hockey associations to refer back to the health authorities. So that's what Saskatchewan Hockey Association has done. So it actually states that point about the 50 people in a mini league, we still have to abide by the 30 people in a facility. But what they've done is they've broken it up so you can have 30 people on the ice at one time, no more than that.
Okay, so you have mentioned in here of people on the bench. You're only allowed to have 3 people on the bench at a time?
That's correct. And that's
How
just,
are we gonna have an SJHL hockey game?
like I said, that's just for minor hockey right now. But,
What's the difference? If
well,
it's a
'cause the
five-year-old
SJ
or SJHL?
the SJHL,
Those rules will change too, once they're, everyone's come over too.
right now I can't give you any information regarding the SJHL because they haven't given us anything. Saskatchewan Health Authority hasn't given them anything.
So,
The biggest concern from Saskatchewan Health, that was reiterated today, you know, we are, just for council's information, Dr. Irvine and his other members of his team have, they are gonna look at the plan as well and provide us any suggestions as well. But the biggest concern that they have is social distancing and adhering to this. And you know, obviously we recognize that, you know, it's going to be a delicate situation, particularly for the staff that have to enforce this with the user group. So it's going to be quite a cooperative venture because, you know, we hope that everybody adheres to it, but there will be those that don't, and council has to be aware that our obligation is to, when you adopt the plan, is to follow it and enforce it. And that's what we intend to do in the interest of public health.
so an item on page 4, item pertains to minor hockey figure skating. Item 1, 2, 3, flood times will increase from 15 minutes to 45 minutes for adequate cleaning and disinfection between uses, one staff working. Flood times will increase from 15 minutes to 30 minutes for adequate cleaning and disinfection between uses. So again, I truly understand what you're saying, Dean. Cooperation, but cooperation is education. So can somebody explain to me how this is going to unfold, the flood times?
So as soon as you're gonna have the guy driving the Zamboni, the other person is gonna be out cleaning the benches, cleaning the doors, cleaning the handles. Are they cleaning the sides of the rink?
Everywhere. See if
The dasher boards and stuff?
Yeah, if you can see where the spectator seating is, we've got sections, the side section number 3 to 7, and what I've done is I've numbered the different sections according to the stairwells. 3 to 7 is going to be closed, so we're going to rope those off with some crowd barriers and stuff. So the only sections that we're trying to minimize as much space that people can sit at, but then still allow those spectators to be there if they need to be or want to be. So then the staff don't have to wipe all of that because after every single use, we have to clean all that.
So without getting operational then, you use the word white. There's a lot of, since COVID has entered into everybody's lives, have you entertained the thought there's umpteen different aspects that are a lot quicker for disinfection? And I'm speaking on behalf of the SJ hockey team in town, the Orange Ice Wolves, in that we're entertaining the thought of buying these quality devices. They're time-saving, they're an Saskatchewan Health Authority approved system. It's just, again,
That's what they use on the planes.
it's highly used in all commercial aspects.
Mosquito powders.
Well, there you go, that's what I was exactly thinking, but anyway, it's just when you turn around, we've gotten a lot of the time when these hockey teams come to town, and again, this is just for minor hockey, so there's a little bit of confusion as far as, is this a rule for minor hockey, and there are new rules for the SJ, because honestly, 45 minutes added up, it's pretty tough.
Oh, yeah,
So
I
if
agree.
you need 45 minutes to adequately clean these areas, disinfect these areas, I don't know if you can do it in 45 minutes with a handy wipe. So, again,
And it's actually only 15 minutes of sanitizing time.
For one person.
Correct.
I think bear in mind, council, that, you know, this is a paper exercise right now, and, you know, the implementation side, we are, of course, gonna be open to comments and change that, on the preface that it doesn't jeopardize public health or safety, and, you know, we're open. I mean, we're not trying to restrict anybody's access or make it difficult for everyone, but we have an obligation to provide minimum standards, and if we need to adjust and adapt, as the document said, it's subject to change, because, you know, every day is a new day with COVID, and we're prepared to do that, but there's got to be some lines in the sand here, and we got to start somewhere, and that's all tonight is. It's not, we're not professing it to be a document of perfection.
Understanding that this is going to be a working document, and nothing with COVID is constant, it's constantly changing.
Yeah.
And we have to be able to evolve with that and change our procedures and whatever else can happen with that change. So with that, I'll make a motion to approve this.
I just ask, have you at all thought of what this is all gonna cost in terms of extra?
Yeah, but I don't have an answer for you.
I mean, is it a large amount, or is it just
Well,
minimal? Or
we've had to purchase some equipment, barricades, crowd control, banners, tape, lamination, paper, because we have to mark X's everywhere. We've done a lot of work to the facility to try and accommodate extra room, and so I don't have a final answer or even a rough.
Not even a rough, okay.
No, not yet.
We'll have a better idea at the end of September. We'll be doing a third quarter forecast, you know, so your October meeting of council will kind of have an idea what the impacts of the cost could be. So like, we're not in a position to know that accurately, but by the end of the third quarter and into October, we should have some numbers before council.
Okay. Before we call the motion, bullet 2 on the SJHL there, you have season ticket holders use the Ice Wolves main entrance and exit will not be permitted access to the side bleachers or front lobby. Washrooms will be accessible in the Wolves Den, currently a maximum capacity of 30 people. What do you do when your season ticket holder is a kid and wants to go to concession?
Yeah. Again, this is based on Saskatchewan Health Authority's rules, and I anticipate this to change, those numbers to change, and that they will be able to intermingle. But right now, Sask Health Authority won't let those groups intermingle, so we're trying to accommodate what we have to work with right now. I was going to approach, because if we don't get anything from the SJHL, and if it stays this way, I'm going to approach them to see if, because we're going to be moving the concession down, and see if they can take some concession items up. So then there can be some concession items upstairs.
But do you need
But
two
I-
different permits then? Because you're
Alcohol
running it.
permits, or-
Well, that's the thing, it's only supposed to be 19 and older up in the upstairs, right? Because now that's the bar upstairs and they're only allowed 30 people up there, right?
That's up to the SJ, or the Ice Wolves and their permit, their liquor permit.
But do
But
they
as
need
far as-
another food permit upstairs then?
They shouldn't, not if it's just popcorn and chips and stuff like that. But,
You know what the difference is, the players gotta warm up individually,
yeah.
and they're gonna go out and wrestle with the opposing team.
No exchange of bodily foods, you can't sweat.
No fights.
Sweat. What's skating so fast?
Motion on the table.
Yes.
Oh, yes,
You
I'll second
second
that
it.
motion. You gotta get the rink open.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Yes. Is Meg now? All right.
Hugh, who's looking into those fogging machines? Just so I
Actually, I think it's.
And Teledyne has two, when we do a bus run, it's 10 seconds. As fast as you can walk down the side, as fast as you can walk down there, that bus is ready to, in 15 minutes, that bus is ready to go again. You just let it settle, right? But it's like it's electro charge,
Yeah.
they're cool.
Okay.
I'll call her.
A lot of cordless, I Rita Kurtzen.
Yeah.
They do as far as hockey.
Thanks.
It is cordless battery, like it's,
Okay.
822147.
Farrell next.
Next item is the rezoning request.
Thanks, Tony.
Yeah.
Any discussion? Make a motion, somebody?
So this is after zoning?
Yeah.
Yeah, just to be clear here to council is that we've reviewed the application and administratively in relation to your zoning bylaw, we don't think it's a good fit. We think that adding kennels to an R2 zoning district does not really fit with the residential scope of that area. If council recalls, you did already, you've converted this once from residential to commercial a while back. We just think that the use isn't necessarily consistent with your zoning bylaw and with your OCP. So based on that and the information that we were provided, we're not supporting the application. And of course, council has the decision to approve or deny the application, but administratively, we're not recommending approval.
Okay, I'm gonna ask a question here again, because, thank you for that, Dean. A note that you did mention was in that, with the information that's provided, we've got a young entrepreneur that's just starting out, looking for the start of business here. Is it council's position to table this for further information? Or do we get back into this, shutting it down? You know what I'm saying? Can we table this for further information or what?
You can, but I don't think we need any, from an administrative point of view, we don't need any more information. We're suggesting this isn't the best
Oh, I
use
hear you.
of the property, and it's your choice on what you want to do with it. We have really nothing more other than that.
I have a question to, go ahead first.
Now, when you first brought this up to us, Jamie, like, your intent is to train dogs and then sell products from the front, right?
Yeah.
Kennels is kind of your second part of the business, is that true,
So
or
what I want to do now is I'm not going to do the kennels at all.
you're not gonna do the
No,
kennels?
That's like off the table now.
Okay.
So what I'm wanting to do there is just the dog training and the store, so there won't be any dogs staying there.
So does that change the,
This is, sorry,
Direction there?
sorry, Cal, cut you off. Where did the administration get this idea that there was kennels going in? You're declining this, or you're not recommending this to happen because of the fact that there are kennels going in. Where did that?
We're going by the information, council, that was provided to us by the applicant. We're not engaging into a debate with the applicant in front of council, so we're not doing that. Like, we were providing information, we asked, that information was provided. If somebody changed their mind at the table, that's not what we were provided, okay?
Okay.
Just to be clear.
I have a couple of questions all in one. The first one is, are there any other homes, businesses, whatever, around that would be affected either legally or health-wise? And the second question is, if this wasn't a commercial property, how many dogs am I allowed in my own yard?
I don't, know about the dogs in your yard. All I do know is that this changes the character of the neighborhood, and the purpose of zoning is to identify best uses of land, and it's not a perfect document, but it's got to make some sense for the character, and this has been changed again, is being asked to be reversed, and we're suggesting to you that this is not the best use of the property. This has got nothing to do with not wanting to create business, is that it's not the best use, in our opinion, in that particular neighborhood. It's got nothing to do with being negative to business.
Any further discussion?
This is a land use matter.
Anybody want to say any more?
Just 1 second here, I'm just reading what the original letter was from Jamie when she first presented to us. And in there it says, my original plan for the kennel and daycare is not my main focus, as training dogs is my real passion. The kennel may be a 5 to 10 year option that we can discuss at a later date. I would like to remove the application for a kennel and a daycare for the dogs and instead request to open a training center for dogs and storefront to sell my pet products and supplies. So to me, she's not asking to run a kennel. And that's on the,
My response to that is, again, we can't deal with what you may want to do in the future. We're dealing with best use for now and today issues. What happens 5 years from now may or may not change. When you permit it, it's locked in, and then the owner can do what they like because you permitted the use. And we've had examples in Laurent when council has permitted a use that may not fit the character, and we have to deal with the repercussions of it after from the neighbors. And we're suggesting at point of contact that it's not the best use, and that's our position on it.
Has there been any objection from any neighbors? Does anybody know?
I don't have an answer to that.
What is the reason we can't let it
Are we ready for a
be?
vote?
Is there a reason we can't?
it's just administration is recommending that we don't. But,
That we don't what?
so you're saying if we allow it, Dean, then down the road they could put a kennel in without coming back to council and asking if they can have a kennel there?
Well, you're changing the zoning to allow this use into, they're changing the zoning district, so.
And kennels are allowed there, that's it. Kennels are allowed there.
You're opening it up, and we're saying that the residential zoning district is contrary to what your plan is and the general characteristics of the neighborhood, and that's how we feel about it today.
So what if you had agreement with it says you can have the dog training, but you can't have kennels?
But you need a kennel in some form. If you're training animals, there's gotta be a place to put them.
But that's only good.
That's why I asked, yeah.
Not it.
Like one of the reasons why we ask for information from the applicant it's their story. They're telling us what they intend to do, and when we review any land use application, it's on that basis, and that's what we've done here. And again, our administrative position is that it's not the best use and fit for the character of that neighborhood, not this time.
Are we ready for a vote?
So we've got a motion now, we're just going to vote.
I did give the mover a seconder, sorry.
Okay, the mover, the motion is to allow the change. Is there a mover?
I'll move on that.
Is there a seconder?
I will.
Okay, we have a mover and a seconder. Any
Just a-
further discussion?
Just a quick thing now that there's a motion on the table. So just from a standpoint of where we were earlier, and I'm not gonna go too much into it, but we had talked about vacant buildings and boarded up buildings on Orange Avenue, something that this is something that is a retail, and we've been told by our administration that land use is not really fitting for this type of business, and this is an awesome opportunity for us to support entrepreneurs and maybe look at a building in the downtown retail sector that we were just discussing, literally this meeting, to potentially have more storefronts on our lakeshore area. So, I mean, for us to say one thing and do another in the exact same meeting, I don't know how that's going to happen. But with that, that's the only thing I have to say on the matter.
Well, it's come up time and time again from the administration, of which Mr. Marshall administration does not live in our community, and I've lived in this community for 40, I'm speaking historically here, there is not a lot of residents in that area. And all due respect for the residents that are there, I strongly believe that this will not hinder their way of life. And again, for an entrepreneur to turn around and be shut down on this venture over a administrative decision, it's, I would say, I would advise council to turn around and maybe look at supporting this. I mean,
So then my only retort to that would be is I need 6 people. If 6 people stop the other one, so 6 people. And if I found 6 people in the neighborhood that were against that, then I can bring it back.
well, whatever you want, you can do whatever you want to do, councillor.
A point of clarification, this has got nothing to do with frankly living in the community. Our job is to interpret and apply your zoning bylaw in relation to the rules you set up, just to be clear. This has got nothing to do with anything that was suggested, and it's got nothing to do with being negative to business. It's that's the whole purpose of the zoning bylaw, is to break the community into zones, and that's the case. And we're saying, again, we respect the decision of council, but you're aware of our position, but don't muddy the waters by things that's not what we're saying here at all.
I got one question for you, Dean. Is, before Scott bought the property, it was zoned correctly, was it not, to allow this business in that facility? Because we changed it from commercial district to a residential at that time. So this would have not been at the table if we hadn't changed it before.
At the request of the owner. And, again, it's, in our view, it's, where we deal with matters of this nature, and with all due respect to council, sometimes it's taking a square peg and rounding it into a round hole, and it's about land use. It's not about stopping business.
No, and I'm not saying that, Dean. All I'm saying is that previously, before Scott bought the property, it would have been zoned correctly for a dog kennel to be in that facility. But then when Scott came to us and wanted it rezoned to put it in as a residential, then we moved it to a residential. So if Scott wouldn't have come to us, that business.
Back where it was.
That's right. It's where it was actually originally.
And he didn't convert it to high, what is that, high density residential.
Okay,
We got a motion before you.
we have a motion here, and who's the seconder?
I am.
You are, okay. All in favor of,
Just 1 second, I'd like to record a vote on this.
thank you. Okay, we have the recorded vote request. Okay, all in favor of allowing the change to go forward so that they can exist? Against? Abstentions?
Extensions.
Okay, one. Yeah, I know it's the same as a negative, but, okay. The motion is carried.
So just for my understanding on a point of order here then, Dean, that would require a zoning bylaw hearing and changing of the zoning bylaw by resolution of council as well, right?
Yes.
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 Yeah.
So just to explain to the potential business operator, this goes to public notice, correct?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
so it's not necessarily a done deal.
Yeah.
Also, the public could object and this could be overturned, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it would be in the same situation as the temporary, so.
All right.
Yeah.
Clear as mud?
Yeah, there's a public
Sorry.
notification.
Ball bounces. Okay, but that one's done. Mr. Oster, this access communications request, I haven't got it in my agenda. Does anybody know what it is?
Thanks, sir, guys. Here, take care of the rip.
Thanks for coming, folks.
Want this open or closed?
Leave it open.
That's Mary.
That's fair.
Hot air.
A lot of hot air in here tonight.
Can somebody tell me what access communications is?
It's
If we're gonna discuss access communications, I would like to declare conflict as my employer is a competitor with access communications.
Okay,
We can,
I can't find it in my,
Just call me back.
yeah,
I'll text.
Yeah, sounds good.
Pat, if you know what it's about, can you take over?
Access
What
Cable
case
is
is it?
requesting permission to air the council meeting recordings on their cable channel. They want to record our meetings and put it on TV.
We've been asking for that for years.
Have we?
I would actually.
Well,
know
I mean,
we don't,
15
but the
years
internet
ago,
we
we
already
did.
have it. So we started, can barely get on as it is.
And are they your internet provider?
Well, maybe
Yeah.
they can lobby South Hall for some more internet.
we are
service.
with access. We have, we could, I don't know if we both, Robbie would be able to know for sure, or possibly administration here. I do know we are with access. We had to upgrade, actually with the live streaming, that was part of the factor to upgrade to access.
So do you personally, Allison, think that's gonna change anything? We're live streaming now, right?
So my understanding of it is, the way we've got the live streaming set up, they would actually just take that video footage themselves and use it that way. So it's not like there will be an extra camera or anything like that. That's my understanding of it.
It's not gonna bog down the internet service that they have here.
It won't be happening at the same time.
I see that administrative makes recommendation to grant this, reasons why, just a good idea, or what's the advantage of that, like?
We think it's a good, just to increase the transparency of council, to get, it's, you know, we were gonna have it up there anyway, and it's just another means of people being able to see what happens in council. We think it's a good idea.
And there's no effort on our part aside from doing the live streaming ourselves, so,
Yeah, there's no cost.
yeah.
I'll move to approve the request.
I'll start second. Okay, all in favor? Yeah, looks like it's carried. Okay, let's get him back.
Federal gas tax.
Right, no, I'm just waiting for Jordan.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, since he doesn't sit here, you kind of forget that he's.
You're right, it's all right.
Allison, can you call Jordan back?
Yeah, I am.
I got it here too.
Okay, what do we got in here?
System, yeah.
This is so, no, it's done.
You just need a
Sure,
motion
you're-
for second now.
No, it's just, I think it's just there for information.
I'm gonna move on.
So, next item is the federal gas tax. Somebody want to tell us what the benefit is and what we're gonna do?
We just did.
It's
just a memo
saying how
much money we got.
So there's nothing else, right? Okay,
It's for your information only.
I guess I have to be clear on this next one.
I suppose contract, okay.
You guys in here declaring conflicts tonight, my
Oh,
goodness.
yeah, but we're getting them all out of the way at once, and that's good.
Means we're involved in the community.
Yes.
Yes. Isn't that awful? Because nobody else is.
Just some background, I think you're familiar, there really hasn't been any, real material changes. Our staff have met with the ice folks and talked about what's going on. They have actually signed the agreements, we have the signed agreement before council, so we're recommending approving the user agreement as presented.
Has anything changed, Dean, from last year's agreement?
Not materially, there's some advertising, cleaning things, but for the most part, it mirrors what was done in the past, short of understanding occupancy a little more related to the COVID, but for the most part, it's the same agreement.
That's the only condition, says the COVID factor
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah, some kind of house cleaning things in the agreement.
I'll move to approve the contract.
Okay,
I'll second.
seconder, all in favor?
Yeah.
Is carried.
One other thing I forgot to mention,
On the ice wall thing, or can I call you?
Yeah, you can call me back. On the regional waste management, we had a meeting today.
You betcha.
Pat, you might want to look into this. They billed us in July, the regional waste.
Yeah, we're, the outstanding invoice?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're aware of it.
Okay. Okay.
Those and oops.
Oops.
Okay.
Yeah,
Next time there's a
we had to buy a lunch Dallas tonight, one of the other regional partners, get off the case. Well,
Tell Betty to quit voting.
It was in person, she come right to our door with the mob there.
Next item is 1011 lake water level.
Yeah, so I don't want to take up too much of council's time here, but the lake level is getting absorbently high, and I think it poses a lot of concerns to a lot of our residents, to our own municipal property. We're sitting at about 40 inches high by my estimations of the normal lake level.
It's going to go down though now, they say.
Well, hopefully, but it has to get out. They've been saying that for an awfully long time. I get it that we've had an excessive amount of rain this year, and that's beyond the control of the watershed authority. But I do think there's some measures that are maybe missing or not, steps that aren't taking place. Not only directly on our own shoreline, but on the entire lake. There's millions of dollars being costed from this lake level between docks that are being destroyed, not only by cottagers, but by our residents in town. Our own dock, the boat launch, which is barely accessible. It does affect somewhat our tourism. I don't know if anyone's been out to the Nut Point boat launch or our own boat launch recently, but oh man, it's not really easy to put a boat in there. I really think that it's warranted for this council to send a letter of concern to the ministry responsible for the watershed authority. I think there should be some concern to that organization, because I'm not totally convinced, and I've been talking with them constantly in another capacity as president of the Cottage Owners Association, and we're not getting anywhere. The lake's not going down.
What would you want them to do?
Well, I think they need to.
Maybe opening the dam, but.
The dam is open, Ron, but
Yeah.
it could actually open farther, but they have stops, and it's a very large conversation that we probably don't need to have right now, but there is options that they do have that could be taken, and I don't feel those are being utilized. And maybe Councilor Watt can speak to it a little bit too, but there's shorelines are being eroded and damaged. As far as parks are concerned, you can't cut a tree anywhere near a shoreline of the lake, yet when this water is high, it's dangerous for the dead. It's falling into the water, and trees are dying, shorelines are eroding, docks are being destroyed, and it's costing not directly the Orange taxpayers, but the province's taxpayers millions and millions of dollars. It's extremely expensive.
I'd have to correct you, sort of cut you off there. Interlude here, not that I have to correct you on that. There's residents on Orange Avenue that it has financially impacted them, and it's not up to me.
What I meant was not just Orange, but it's a bigger picture than just our residents.
But I would like to bring, it's come to my attention, there is funding available in the tune of $2.5 million, and I don't know if these residents approach the town of Orange. There's assistance in sandbagging measures. I don't know if the town has been inundated. Any phone calls come in requesting help at all?
We have through our EFO meetings, the PSA has talked about it, and they have provided us with regular updates, and if we get into a situation, they have indicated that sandbagging equipment, if that could be in play, but they're not giving us that indication that they're concerned. That's the information that we're kind of getting from them. They're concerned, but not to the point where
It's not
they have
critical.
to start. looking at it internally is the messaging we're getting.
And I think the concern is drastically different this year than it was in 2011. The lake level is the same height, if not actually probably an inch and a half higher than it was in 2011. But the difference this year is the inflow came in at a slower rate and it didn't flood the highway. In 2011, our highway, our only access south was underwater. And whether it was a concern for the bridge to fail or the embutments to fail is irregardless. It makes people a little bit panicked when they see the main highway underwater. So it is a very different situation this year, and maybe it would be also warranted to put out a message, either via media or even social media to our residents indicating that there is assistance available if there's a need, because I don't know that a lot of people will be aware of that.
I
We
see
should-
that
well,
thing
we
because
get
of
it.
the fact that, again, I'm kind of one of these guys that don't send people to the town office. If I can help them, I will help them. Call it operational or just call it help. I put a couple loads of sand down to a resident, and I'm gonna refer to it as the old laundromat. The poor gal, her boathouse was literally washing away all of the contents. So I supplied her with sandbags, supplied her with sand, and again, do I send that young individual to the town office to ask for assistance? If I think what you're alluding to there, Matt, is if a notice went out there, it seems like you're receiving information being from EMFS, they continually change their names, but anyway, the safety operational outfit, you're receiving information, but is it getting to the public that there is assistance available? Is that where you're going there, Matt?
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry,
Well,
is
well,
that,
if council has information to provide us, we can get it on our media site and,
It's more what you just said, Dean. It's not the council having information. You just said that there's assistance out there from your meeting.
Yeah, they indicated that on the sandbagging side, and they also said that, like, they do issue, which we can forward to council. We get updates on the water levels, and, you know, we're getting a little different messaging than you see this being said here. I'm not suggesting that isn't true, but that's not the level of urgency we're getting in the messages from the province, so I'm not sure what you want us to do here.
I'm not asking about the emergent, or whether it's an emergency or not. My question is, does this government funding apply, can residents or within a town, are they allowed to apply for this funding, or is it a separate pot that they can't?
Well, again, back
Because
with
if it is from the
I
town,
think
we should make them.
It's irrelevant, Ron, whether it's the town provided thing or the province provided.
No, I'm talking about the funding itself.
I know, but we should make the residents aware of that
Yes.
funding, regardless of where it comes from.
But does the municipality have to apply for it and then distribute it out to the ratepayers?
Either way, I think we should put it out to the residents so that they know it's available.
Yeah.
Yeah, either way, it
If
doesn't
we
matter.
have to apply, then we should be applying. If there's a intermediary, like it's
There's questions that we don't have the answers to right now, so there's no sense going around about it, but first note, I would like our residents to know about this assistance if it's available, if that can be put out, and secondly, I strongly feel that this mayor and council should forward a letter to the ministry responsible for the watershed authority about how many concerns with drastic water levels and lack of control at the structure.
Do we do that?
Obviously, there's a motion from him to draft the letter. Is there a seconder?
I'll second
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried. You got that? Thank you.
I'd just like to make a comment to council. One of the reasons why we asked for you to provide us with information in advance of the council meeting is so that we're prepared to provide you the information. And, you know, this matter.
Dean, this information, I'll stop you short right there. There's no way that you would have access to that information any different than what any of us would. It's just a letter to a ministry to voice a concern. You can shake your head at me if you like, but it's not, I'm not asking you to do something out of the ordinary.
It's a
If
courtesy.
you'd like me to write the
to
letter.
what you'd like. It's a courtesy to let us know what's going on in advance, so we're not surprised. We've asked that.
I understand that, but I don't think there's
Okay.
a lot of logistical problems to this, so.
Okay, that being said, I agree with you,
Or do we
but
have?
sometimes you just come up with an idea right when you're discussing it with other people and you didn't have time.
And that's what happened, my apologies there, Dean, but it's, I don't
Or do
think
we
it's
have
a,
to find out if we have to apply for that? Fire.
that'll be the.
We'll do the research and we'll find out the letter to deal with.
You know, wasn't there another meeting you guys had on Monday?
They'll be discussed
In
in
camera.
camera.
Oh,
Because it would be part of long-term planning, so.
okay.
So is there anything else for the agenda before we go on camera?
Recess?
Yeah.
Sure, okay. Let's call a recess and move to camera.
No.
I don't.
Okay.
I know it.
Thank you.